Thank you for joining us. Beyond the Watt, we're doing it. What are we at? Episode 3. Yes, episode 3, and we're having a really good time. We're trying to kind of work out the kinks, and we feel like we're getting to a format that's going to be a little easier to digest, and going to be able to give you some points in the description that'll allow you to get right to the points that you're interested in. So we've got a few different sections that we want to break the podcast up into. We're going to talk about news, and we're going to call that our Newsline segment. And we might be looking at common articles that we find out there in the industry, in the lighting industry, in the energy efficiency or contractor industry. We're out there scouring our resources to look for things that we feel are pertinent to our listeners. And then the pricing of the industry, what's happening out there. Things are changing so readily. I always found it really challenging over time to really get to what's happening in what I was interested in. Maybe at the time I was importing metals and selling fixtures, or maybe I was importing electronics and selling controls or something like that. And to understand what's happening with raw materials or with tariffs or those types of things, I'll be covered in that segment. We're also going to be doing a segment called IoT Trailblazers, which is going to enable us to do some digging in the industry, talk about IoT, what's happening, what new systems are out there that are really changing everything for the industry, and digging deeper into those, maybe bringing, and those will be some segments where we might bring in someone from those segments and let them talk about their products, and we can do some good Q&A and get you the answers you're looking for. And then we want to bring it all back and talk about how that actually impacts the project, right? What decisions are we making based on the pricing in the industry, latest news, and things that are happening in IoT that you can take from our experience and use on your projects. So hopefully all those things will bring it together for you. We also have another segment, and we're going to bring in, occasionally a new type of segment, through the podcast, and it won't necessarily be always consistent. But we do want to have a segment called, we're calling it Define It, where we take a word from the industry that everybody uses, and man, there's a lot of them. And there's a lot of them that people misuse, right? And I'm not going to say I use them right, but there is a correct definition for most of the words that we're all misusing out there. And to maybe just do a brief discussion on what they are and what the real definition is, and quite frankly, how people are misusing them, which isn't a bad thing. It's to better understand, all the different ways that it could be used, so that if you hear it used, you can know, oh, maybe he's referring to this, and that could be a powerful tool for you. So we'll jump right in. We'll jump right into the news, and what we wanted to talk about. We've been scouring the waves, and there's been some discussions lately. We like to focus in on IoT and energy efficiency, and one of the things that we noticed was this kind of desire for the market to really focus on IoT. We found an article out there by Edison Report that had discussed Current's new mission statement, right?
Current redefined.
Current redefined. Now,
Yeah.
Current,
Again,
what was GE? Right, GE started a startup, quote unquote, within a large organization, called it Current. They recently sold it off to American Industrial Partners, AIP, and I think the expectation is that everything's going to change, right? What do you guys think? Is everything going to change?
No. No, I mean, I'll just jump in real quick. I mean, I did think that article was interesting in the fact that it seemingly was trying to probe and trying to stir the pot on something that doesn't even exist. It's not even a thing, right? It goes on, and it's, talking about, Current redefined. Again, they make lamps and fixtures. They got bought out by an industrial manufacturing, private equity firm. So now they're going to get rid of all of IoT. And then all of a sudden at the end of the article, it was like, oh yeah, well, mea culpa, because, we were maybe kind of fibbing the whole time. And it's like, well, what was the point of the whole article? Like, it's crazy because nobody's going away from IoT. Sorry, Tony, go ahead.
To me, it seemed like they just put the whole story into one mission statement.
Yeah.
The whole company story, which was supposed to be this $1 billion IoT company.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it's interesting because, like, you know, when you start digging at, like, well, who is AIP, American Industrial Partners? Yeah, there's industry in their name, right? So you think it's heavy manufacturing and whatnot. But they actually, their whole goal is to go into organizations and modernize those typically old school, historic industrial manufacturing facilities and make them smart, make them, you know, more IoT friendly and so forth and so on, to streamline their operations and whatnot. So I see them actually kind of pushing heavier on the IoT front over time.
Yeah, and you
Yeah,
know, we see this all the time in the media, where media will try to just make news where it doesn't exist. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that to talk about around current, but quite frankly, they're jamming in IoT, right? I mean, we're working with them on a couple of their projects, and the projects that they're doing are the most IoT intensive projects of any other project that I've ever seen or worked on in my entire career.
yeah. But that wasn't really in the mission statement to me. I didn't feel that way.
Right. Oh, okay. So you actually feel like it is reverting
It
back?
wasn't. It wasn't. Well, it wasn't enough IoT in the mission statement, I thought. I mean, there was just very briefly about software and, you know, and apps, or cloud, software and cloud, but very small amount. It should have been more focused of that, I thought. I don't know.
You know, it's hard to say, and I'd love someone from Current to weigh in on this, but my sense is that they were trying to balance it out. You know, when Current first launched, it was Predix, right? It was by Daintree, they launched as energy management group. There were all these different aspects that were supposed to, the San Ramon office, and it was all about software and apps and you know, and smart cities, right? And I think the lighting group became kind of the redheaded stepchild. And I think they're trying to remind themselves, hey, we first of all, we're the best at industrial controls out there, right? Which no one even talks about that anymore, right? I mean, GE is absolutely, you know, top two, if not the best in certain areas in industrial controls, and it's that connection to industrial customers that is gaining them access to even be able to talk IoT in an industrial environment, right? And they're doing it, and they were doing it the first, and they've actually been able to deliver better than I've ever seen anybody. So, and they're not scrapping it. You know, I think people just want to create a story. Nobody knows what AIP is going to do, so they're you know, making stuff up. Look at the mission statement. They're all going to just be selling incandescent light bulbs again. You know, like, no, they're not. So, anyways, I think it's clickbait. I think that they were stretching. I don't see Current going in that direction. I think, you know, I do see Current trying to figure out how they're going to get to market.
Yeah.
But I see everybody in IoT trying to figure it out.
I was just going to say that everybody's doing that, right? I mean, another headline that came up that I was looking at, you know, Signify acquires Chinese supplier. I think this is timely for multiple reasons, but I do think it's applicable to this whole, you know, idea of being a fixture manufacturer and being, you know, IoT, and you have to be one or the other. Not really. I mean, you kind of need to be both. You know, I'd even say, you know, SBT is both. But so there was this article, Signify acquires a 51% stake in their Chinese supplier, which I think, you know, we'll be able to talk about this in the pricing beat in tariffs. But they've had a long time relationship with this company, and they've been importing, you know, from this organization, and now they're saying, well, you know what, we should just own a piece of it and, you know, do both, because this is a smarter strategy than the Osram, you know, methodology of, well, let's get out of lighting and only do, you know, IoT. What's the right answer? I mean, I guess time will dictate, but yeah, Current's not the only one.
Well, and I think that Acuity has made this really big move into IoT, and others are trying to do that. So you know, GE's / Current / you know, whoever, that they're always looked at that person that's trying to go head to head with Acuity. They're both going head to head on beacon, indoor positioning, those types of things. You know, they were going head to head after. With Acuity on Walmart, on Target, on all these different, you know, major retailers, and you know, quite frankly, people would like to say, well, GE gave up and Acuity's going to take it, right?
Yeah,
that's not going to happen. Right. So, anyways, that was an interesting one for me, and I love to look for stories that, you know, we have great relationships in all these manufacturers, and you know, especially when I see something in the media trying to pick them apart, I'd love to stick up for them where you know, it's clearly kind of off base, and I think that's an important thing to do. You know.
Yeah.